Howdy and welcome to another episode of the Painted Arrow podcast. It's, October
4th.
4th.
10-4.
And we have a special guest in the house today. We have Dave McChesney, Barefoot Dave.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
So why do they call you Barefoot Dave? Or is that like something that you gave to yourself?
I just live life barefoot. If it's warm, I don't got shoes ever. Like I have the slides that I'm wearing now. I just keep them in the car in case I have to like run into a store. But
I love that.
But other than that, no shoes.
Kind of like Jesus.
There you go.
I like to think that he walked around in sandals or barefoot.
Probably.
Yeah.
Were shoes invented then? I don't think so.
No idea. But really quick, just a couple of updates. It's just Dave and I here today.
Yep.
First off, promo code podcast. If you're listening to this, it's hunting season. It's time to get in the game. We have a lot of products on the website. If you use promo code podcast, you'll get 10% off of your order. So do that. Go check it out. It's never too late to get in the game for that. Also, this is a perfect time with Dave here. We've had anybody who's really following along, we put out an application for pro staff positions. And I just wanted to follow up with that because we've had a lot of people emailing us and saying, hey, what's the status? People on, Instagram, whatever, reaching out, DMing us. What's the status on that? And that has been closed. So if you've not been reached out to, we've made our final selections. We really, really appreciate everybody who took the time to submit an application because I know how that goes. I've been in that boat. It takes some time, and we had some really good candidates. And again, if you were not reached out to, the selection process is complete. It's closed. And that being said, Dave is one of those pro staff individuals who we're really excited about. And I think we'll talk about kind of how we met and just kind of over the years, kind of you keeping in touch, and just to kind of announce the three pro staff individuals: Dave McChesney, who's with me today, Elizabeth Brownell, her tag is Rookie Hunter, and then Aaron, how do you say his last name? Backend? I think it's Backend or Backend. Sorry if I'm butchering that. Anyway, Michigan Ambush. Mm-hmm. He's got a great channel on YouTube. And those are our pro staff, and we're excited. We just had a call yesterday, and we got some cool things that we're going to be working on in the future. But yeah, Dave, you're the guest of honor today. It's kind of cool that you just came in, and let's see. So tell the people how we, I guess, originally met. It was a Total Archery Challenge. Like, I'm curious. It was. We've kind of discussed it, but like what was you were one of the OG first purchasers of the product originally. And I would say, I mean, you've been following along. You've always engaged with us. We have a relationship. Kind of like, tell me a little bit about yourself first off, and then like that first interaction about the product, kind of what you were thinking when you saw it. Cause I'm curious myself.
Sure. Yeah. So, I've been bow hunting for a long time. Started, when I was 12, back when Michigan's legal age was 12 to start hunting before they changed all the youth rules. Right. And in recent years, like 2019, 2020, somewhere around there, started venturing out on public land for the first time, and was just got my ass handed to me. Like, wasn't getting on deer, wasn't seeing anything. I'm like, it's something like, what am I doing wrong here? I've always hunted over bait. That's what I did up at the family cabin. Go up north, pour out a bag of corn.
In Michigan.
In Michigan, yep.
Yep.
You sit in your same tree stand. That's your tree stand. Your bait pile. And that's how you hunted. Baiting became illegal, and I moved further south, so it wasn't as convenient to go up there. So it's like, yeah, let's go venture out in some public. And that's when I Googled the term mobile hunting for the first time.
You actually Googled mobile hunting.
Well, I feel like how to find deer, like,
yeah,
how to hunt deer. And
because that's like a key word now.
It is. It's a thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's, I just didn't know if you actually sat down at the computer and typed in mobile hunting, or if it was something along the lines of like what you said.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what the origin of that was, but, so yeah, got a climber, and just started walking, venturing out and setting up. In 2020 is when I first shot my first buck. So it took me 16 years to shoot a buck for the first time. Yep. just doe. I mean, a load of button bucks, of course, because what else comes into bait piles? The young ones, right? So a bunch of does, bunch of fawns, bunch of yearlings, like, but never never anything with an antler. So with that buck, I ended up hitting it far back, and put a bad shot on it. Had to call a dog, tracked it for 4 miles.
This is public land?
Yeah. Yep. And luckily it was all on public. I had to cross over a couple private pieces, but mainly public. Ended up recovering them. So, good story there. But after that, I was like, if I only could have something to film, right? Where did my arrow hit? So the next year I got a GoPro and was putting it up in the tree on like a clamp mount or something. And I was like, okay, that's recording me, but it's not recording the shot. So 2021, I ended up getting a couple deer that year. And then in 2022, I was talking with a buddy. It was early. It was like April, May, something like that. And he was like, yeah, this magnet thing that you put on your stabilizer, your phone, and you can record your shot. And I was like, oh, that's convenient. Cause like I didn't, I tried the whole camera arm thing, and I think it was a Muddy, and they were.
Wait, so back up. You said you heard about that where?
From a buddy. Yeah. He saw it at, Sunrise. He saw it at Sunrise.
Got it.
Yep. And I was like, I didn't like the camera arm. It was heavy. It was bulky, clumsy, big fluid head, phone mount on that. And I never ended up using it. So I saw that at Sunrise and I was like, that's a good idea, and picked it up, bought it, and it was kind of sitting on the shelf. I was like, oh, I'll use it for hunting season. A couple months later, go up to TAC and you guys were there. And I walked by and I was like, wait a minute, that looks familiar. And then I texted my buddy and I was like, hey, what was that mount thing again?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it was a painted arrow. And I was like, oh, they're here. Okay, cool. Let me stop by.
That's wild.
And I walked up and I was like, hey, I got one of your mounts. And you're like, what? No way. Cause it just hit the market.
Oh, literally. Yeah.
Like a month or two, so that's how it started.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So hold on. So I wanted to back up to a detail that you mentioned there. You said it took you however many years to shoot a buck or even really start seeing them. And I think that's probably par for a lot of people. Definitely for me. I don't know if it was that many years, but were you frustrated? Were you like, man, I can't believe that I'm not seeing more bucks? Like, was it like that? Or was it just like, oh, I'm just really not seeing that many bucks. I wonder why. Were you like angry about it?
I don't know if it was anger or like confusion. But I wasn't I was a hunter, but I wasn't like, what I would consider a serious hunter. I would go up for opening day deer camp, and it was more so just hanging out with my cousins and my uncle and my dad, my grandpa, having a couple cocktails at night.
Yeah. Like the social aspect of deer
playing
hunting camp.
cards. That's why I went up to deer camp. Hunting was just a secondary thing. And then, with growing up with my cousins, we all bow hunted and everything. So did my dad, so it was
So you've always bow hunted?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was your first bow? Was that a hand-me-down? Was it how did you actually get into it? Did you just totally find it by yourself?
No. So, entire family, were bow hunters. My dad started early on, probably in his 20s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he got me into it. I can't remember where my first bow came from. I know it was a Parker though.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I got that when I was, 10 or 11, something like that. And then when I turned 14, he's like, all right, this is the last bow I'm buying you. So we went up to the pro shop and got it all decked out. And that was a Diamond Rock. And I remember I bought all the limb savers to make it quiet, the Carbon Express Maxima arrows, because those are the latest and greatest things, the Rage 2 blades, all that good stuff. And I was like,
that was an arrow, wasn't it? The Rage. It still is pretty popular, but like I remember Rage was like the broadhead.
Oh yeah. Like when,
not too long ago.
When mechanicals, like, cause they always were the front deployment where they flip backwards on impact.
Correct.
And then that would kink the arrow and deflect it up. And this was the first rear deploy. And it was like, oh man, 2-inch cut. Holy cow. I'm only bowling like 40, 50 pounds, and so it's like, yeah, not the best arrow setup.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the bow that I used. I shot that bow for 14 years.
That's awesome.
Up until 2020, I got the buck with that bow, and then I was like, okay, I'm hooked. And then I got a used flagship after that for the 21 season.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like you talked about, deer camp, and I had that to an extent. I think I briefly touched on that the other day, where it's like I didn't have like necessarily like a deer camp, but like my dad, my brother, like just that camaraderie of like, hey, we're all going to go out hunting together. We played cards and things like that, but like going to a deer camp, and the fact that your dad was, hunting since he's 20 with a bow, like that's pretty cool. Like that's the Fred Bear era in Michigan, right? Like he was a huge piece of that culture.
Oh yeah.
I think. I mean, and so it's just kind of cool to hear you say that. And so yeah, like tell me about I'm just curious now. This wasn't really what I wanted to talk about, but your first like time using the product, because originally our first Mag Pro was the smaller magnet platform. We've made a lot of different changes, small but real changes. I'm just curious, like what was your first interaction with the product, like using it? Do you remember?
I remember I screwed it on and he used it and was like, this is pretty. The vibration was there, and I'm like, okay, I got to figure that out. So that was one thing I talked with you guys about. I remember bringing my phone case to you guys, because I had 2 phone cases, because I have one of those rings on the back, so you can put your finger through.
Yep.
And with that, you can't use the magnet plate. Right. So I had 2 phone cases, and I would swap them back and forth when I would go out to hunt. So I ran back to the car, which if you've ever been to Michigan Tack, that's not a short walk. So ran back to the car, grabbed that phone case, brought it back, and was like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And I remember you saying, it was like, yeah, this is, kind of that more flimsy rubber. It wasn't the harder plastic. You're like, so change that, press it down a little bit more, compress that foam a little bit. That was back when you were experimenting with like zip tying it on and stuff, so like, maybe try that. So just trying a couple of those different things. I was already using lighted nocks, so that obviously, that helps. But then kind of shortly after that is when you came out with the Mag Pro Plus, which is the bigger version, what you have now. And, I'm a heavy draw. I got 80-pound limbs.
You shoot 80 pounds? Damn.
So I was like, well.
I shoot 60.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Dude, I love like just being able to like I can
butter.
super slowly pull back a bow.
That makes sense.
And I can super, super slowly decompress it, which, I mean, I might be losing a little bit, but like in terms of, I'm not really shooting past 27, 28 yards. Like,
yeah, very rarely.
So I don't see it being a problem, but that's a lot of weight.
Yeah. Yeah, late season when you're, freezing after 3 hours and you're out bulking up and clothes, like it can get a little tricky, but I shoot it year round. So.
Do you have to like order those?
No, come stock with PSE.
You can buy okay,
off the shelf. Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah, PSE is one of the only ones that has it.
Probably because there's a lot of like flight issues or something, maybe.
I don't know.
Because nobody else does that. You're right.
I know Matthews is 75 now, I think. I don't know about Hoyt. I don't know anything about Hoyts or Bowtechs.
So total side note, but curious.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw that Plus with the bigger magnet, and I was like, okay, I should probably ask those guys about that, because with the heavier draw, you're going to have more vibration, of course. And that definitely helped it a little bit as well. And I feel more safe with it. When you're up in the stand, moving around, hitting it on branches, stuff like that.
Well, like early on, my dad shoots. I think a lot of people still have the solo cam, Matthews solo cam.
Oh yeah.
For whatever reason, that bow really struggled with our original Mag Pro. Like, so we were in the yard shooting. I had a PSE. My dad was shooting his solo cam, and I put one. I wanted my dad to have one, obviously, and so I put one on his bow. And we were having like issues with it actually falling off sometimes. Not every time, but just like for whatever reason, every once in a while, it would actually fall off. And I'm like, that is just, it's so weird. That bow, still to this day, every once in a while, we'll have somebody reach out with that bow, and they're just having a lot of issues with vibration. And it's like, I don't know what it is about that bow, but there's a ton of vibration in the grip when you shoot. I don't know. But anyways, that's when we were like, we got to make a change in the hold power. Now there's twice as many magnets and we don't even offer the other one.
Right.
We did for a while and it was just like, that doesn't make any sense. So, but yeah, no, you shot a deer, I think last year. Was it last year on the Mag Pro?
I have 5 deer on the Mag Pro now.
The one that I'm thinking of was, I can't even, how do I describe it? It's the picture that you have on our testimonial page.
Oh, okay. Yep. The buck.
Yep.
In the CRP field.
Yes. Tell me about that hunt.
Yeah, that one was cool. So I had history with that spot. 2022, I went in there opening night, and coming out of the CRP field, I just saw tines, like at last light. You could just see like a blob and then just the white tines. And I was sitting back like 100 yards from there. I'm like, I got to get over there. So the next night, I went over there, hunted it, and at last light, came, and I heard deer coming in. I turned on my flashlight, because it was after legal, and there was 2 8-points right underneath my tree. I'm like, okay, this is a good spot. Next time I could hunt was, a few days from there. I walk in, and they burned the CRP field, and I was like,
on public?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
And I was like, man, shoot. So, going with the whole mobile hunting thing, walked in and, scouted my way in, set up, and shot a 7-point that night. I was like, oh, cool, So the next year, I sat that CRP field. It was like same wind, same direction, gusty, cold front, morning, let's sit it. And, I was actually up in a tree with a buddy, and like a 4 or 6 came in, and he's a brand new hunter. He's never shot a deer. And, this 4-point or 6-point, whatever it was, came in. I was like, shoot this thing, so I'm recording him. He ended up shooting it, thankfully, because like an hour later, we're still sitting there and hear a crack, stick break. And I turn around and it was this buck just kind of standing there. I'm like, whoa, here we go. And I told him on the walk in, I said, if it's a shooter, I'm shooting it. Like if it's a big deer, I'm shooting it. Anything else, you can shoot it.
So he was in the tree with you?
Yeah, we were double hanging.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And so I immediately grabbed my bow, and I'm in my saddle, and it was the weak side shot. It was on my 3 o'clock. So I had to dip the bow around the tree, turn around on the platform and everything. And I could see him like grabbing his crossbow, and I kind of like put my hand up like, no, like this is mine, because this was the biggest deer that I've ever seen. And come back to full draw, and there was a stick bouncing, and it was 15 mile an hour sustained winds, 20 25 gust. This was a very windy day, and that definitely helped, because looking at the setup, we were completely skylit. Like it was a terrible tree to sit, but because of the wind, we got away with it. And I noticed every wind gust that branch would get up over its back, and I would have a shot. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, next wind gust. Here it comes, let it go, straight through the heart. And that was the first deer that I actually learned how to follow it with the bow, because usually you drop the bow down, and your footage is, you can't see where the deer ran. So I would learn how to keep my hand up, and then the deer would run off and it'd be out of frame. And I was like, wait a minute, then you got to keep your hand up and follow the deer. So I shot, kept my hand up, followed the deer as it ran. When you shoot in 4K, you can crop in, and then I was able to zoom it in as it was running away. It fell down the hill, so I got all that in film. It was really cool.
That was a sweet video. Yeah, I didn't realize you were double hanging. So that was your brother-in-law, you said?
Just a buddy.
Just a buddy.
Yeah.
And he hadn't shot any deer before?
Nope. So
he probably got hooked after that.
Probably. Yeah. He was pretty amped, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, that's a giant. It was the biggest buck of my life, and I'm all jacked up. I'm literally just shaking, I can't even hang my bow yet, cause I'm just too nervous. I'm just whole body.
And you knew right away, like it was done deal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause it light a knock, you just see it go right perfect, right where you're aiming. And then watch the video back and was like, okay, yeah, this was a perfect shot.
Yeah. That makes me excited. I've shot a deer. I'm sorry. I've been double hanging in a tree. Devin shot a deer. I think that's the only time. I hope I'm not forgetting one. But like when you're in the tree stand with a buddy and like you kill. It's so fun because like you're not, after that it's typically a lot of work, obviously, and you can just share that moment, and it's like this thing you'll never forget.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was, so I had the GoPro up top, and I'm shaking so bad, and he like thought I was like trying to fist bump him because I was literally shaking, and he like put his hand out, and I didn't even notice, I'm shaking, and he's kind of sitting there, and I'm like, oh, sorry, fist bumped him after that, but yeah, and then he literally saw me shake for like the next 5-10 minutes, and he's like, all right, we getting down? And I was like, no. I was like, one, you got to let it sit, just to be safe. I was like, it looks like a good shot, but you always let them sit. And I'm like, two, if you try to climb down when you're this amped up, like that's dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Like let the adrenaline wear out, man. Like chill.
Yeah.
Gave my wife a call, all that good stuff. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've been hunting very recently. You actually just came from a hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's October 4th.
Yep.
What have you seen? I haven't been out at all.
Oh, what have I seen? I'm not the guy to ask about that.
Well, you're on like a little trip here.
Yeah. So this is kind of all the stars have aligned for this week for me. So married, no kids yet, and my wife is on vacation this week. We got 2 dogs. Her brother's fiance's dog sitting, house sitting for us. And I'm like, I kind of have the week off, and she has a minivan. So I'm just like, I'm loading the van up. I'm heading down south, and it's like an out of state, in quotes, in-state hunt. So something I've never done before, but I've just been hunting straight since Tuesday morning, since the 1st.
What's your van set up? Like, are you sleeping good? You have it pretty dialed in?
It's not bad. First time I've ever done it, so I just got an air mattress.
Like a double.
Just a normal Intex. I don't know, single.
Is it like wide? Takes up the whole van?
Most of it. I think it's not quite as big as like a twin or anything like that. The van's 4 feet wide on the inside, and then I have like one thing next to me, so it's almost 4 feet wide, 3.5 or so.
So you're sleeping pretty good.
Oh yeah, yep. Got a blanket down.
Are you just sleeping on the side of the road?
Yeah, just in the parking lots.
That's awesome.
Yep. I learned though I gotta drive in on an incline because the van is sloped down, and the back is up higher. And so like if I don't want to be at a weird angle, I actually got to park up a hill, and then I'm flat. That took me 2 nights to figure out, but
I've done like truck camping more than I care to admit.
Mm-hmm.
Not like all fancy, but like just sleeping in the front seat kind of thing.
Oh, jeez.
I've gotten pretty good at it. Certain vehicles are better than others, definitely. Like this Utah trip that I just went on for mule deer, and I slept like in the front seat of this Jeep very successfully.
You're a tall guy.
I'm 6'3", yeah.
Right.
So like that vehicle, for whatever reason, that really worked. But like it's tough to hunt and sleep in your truck, but it's obviously the most efficient in terms of hunting, and it's obviously the most efficient in terms of cost.
Right.
And you don't really got to go anywhere, right? Like you just sleep where you're going to hunt or whatever.
Right.
But I think that's an overlooked thing. You know what I mean? Like, or underlooked thing. Overlooked, yeah, same thing. It's like, if you can just figure out how to make that situation work, I just feel like you're hunting more hours.
Especially this early season where first light is, a little after 7 a.m. and last light is 8 p.m. So you're over 12 hours that you can hunt. And you got to tear down, walk out, so it's 9:30 by the time you get back to the car. And then it would be an hour drive home for me, so it'd be 10:30 by the time I got home, got to eat or grab something on the way.
Yep.
And then it's an hour drive back in the morning.
Yep.
So that's 2 hours right there that you're just saving.
That'd be a good podcast, actually, like a whole podcast on vehicle setup, how you, because there's people who rig their trucks out like full rig. I mean, I specifically bought my truck with the cap. Yep. Like I specifically wanted the tradesman edition because I don't even understand why manufacturers of cars put carpet on the floors. You know what I'm saying? They have the mats, but underneath it is carpet.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The tradesman edition of the Ram that I have is like the rubber floors. So it's like all waterproof. Perfect for kids too. Like toss your stuff in the car and let's go. Like go to the beach, there's sand, you just sweep it out. But if it's carpet, it destroys your car. Anyway, I got the lid on the back, the ARE lid, and you can really get a lot of stuff in there. You can sleep in there. You can do a lot of cool stuff.
Yep.
I think that's I really like that topic. Like just roughing it, just figuring out how to get into the woods more often. And those trips, you're typically like you said, you still got to eat. You still got to have water. It's nice to brush your teeth if you can. Like you don't feel horrible while you're doing it. But no, that's interesting. So you've how many days are you in now?
4. Day number 4.
What,
I'm pretty tired.
What have you seen?
This morning was the first time I saw deer from the stand. It's been a slow week. It's been a rough week. It's been a grind. Very humbling experience.
Yeah.
Learning a lot about myself. It's good and bad. So I got down here. I hunted Tuesday morning up at my house, drove down in the afternoon, hunted the evening, or scouted the evening. Didn't run into any sign, glass some fields. Hunted Wednesday morning, scouted all day Wednesday. Hunted Wednesday evening, didn't see any deer. Finally ran into some fresh sign. Thursday, same thing. Finally ran into some sign on Thursday. 'Cause today's Friday, right?
Yeah.
And then, so last night was the first time I finally found fresh sign, set up over it.
Are you talking rubs or scrapes or
scrapes? Both? Yep. Yeah, I mean, you could see the paw marks and scratch marks, and you could the pea spot was still dark, so it was fresh scrape. Yeah, outside of a bean field, swamp point, it was a good spot. But I didn't end up seeing anything. Yesterday, I went scouted a spot real quick, found a really nice 4-finger track. It's like, okay, that's my plan B. So didn't see anything last night. Drove to the parking lot last night, woke up this morning and just walked in blind, found a tree, and had a spike and a little 8-point come in. I watched the 8-point make a rub. That was really cool. So I got that on film, and it was, my goal this year is to shoot a mature buck. 2 years in a row.
How close was that 8-point?
32 yards.
So not, what was the situation? Not shootable?
No, it was. Very briefly. It was kind of one of those, like, you have a 2-second window.
Yeah, came in and left.
But my goal is to shoot a mature buck, and he didn't, fulfill that requirement. So, I would have been incredibly proud to shoot that animal because of all the work that I put in this week. Finally saw something, and don't get me wrong. I mean, it was a nice buck, but it wouldn't have satisfied my goal for myself.
Yeah.
So we got to pass.
And it's early in the season.
You say that now, right?
I mean,
but yes, you're right. You're right.
I'm getting so jacked because we've had a couple of cold fronts,
Oh yeah.
Like for this early.
Yeah.
I haven't checked the weather, but I don't think it's going to have, are there going to be more 40-degree mornings coming up here?
I don't know. It's been 40 the last 3 mornings.
Yeah.
Or in the 40s, I should say.
Yeah.
It's been chilly in the van.
Oh, I believe it. I haven't even gotten out yet. We're about to leave on this elk hunting excursion, which I'm pretty jacked about.
Sure.
I'm not going to be hunting specifically. My dad and Devin are going to be the guys pulling the trigger, hopefully, and then my brother and myself are all going to go. So there's 4 of us.
Nice.
But we're going to be gone for 2 weeks out of the office, which is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I mean, that is.
We looked at flying, but when you do all the math, like you're really not saving that much time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like going to the airport, flying, and it's like this huge expense.
Yep.
And then you're flying with guns, and it's like when you boil it right down, we did all the math. I mean, like you're saving a day. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You might get home like 7 hours earlier than you might have by flying. So we ended up deciding to drive. And if you get an elk, right? If you get 2 elk, you're shipping the meat back, and you got it's just like this huge,
Yeah.
It's tough to figure out all the logistics of it. But anyway, long-winded for saying that's going to be a heck of a trip. I'm excited. I'm going to film the whole thing, just on my phone with one of our mounts and try and put together a production out of it. And my dad's never shot an elk.
Okay.
And so that's like a really big thing for me is, he's not an old man, but he's in his 60s.
Sure.
It's like nothing's guaranteed. How many more years are you going to be able to run around in the mountains?
Right.
So like, I'm really hoping my dad can just have a really good experience. We're going to take horseback, I think 6 or 7
cool.
miles up in, and it's a drop camp. So they just through an outfitter. They just drop you off. They give you a couple of coordinates of like, hey, we've seen elk here in the past, but it's basically they do the hard work in terms of survival for you. They give you water. I think they give you. I think there's like a latrine or something. I don't know. I read this briefly, but
it's probably just a hole in the ground with a bucket, type of thing. Yeah.
But
and I've looked at that because I'm starting to research all the Western hunts and putting in points, saving up for it.
And you'd love that.
And those I call them like DIY outfitters, because it's not a guided hunt, but like you said, they do all the camp for you. And by the time you buy a wall tent and your fireplace and all your pots and pans, everything that goes into a 2-week backcountry hunt, it's cheaper just to get the outfitter and it's easier too.
It's time, dude. That's what you're right. You're 100% right. But I just came back from that mule deer hunt. It's like you're spending 40% of your time trying to survive. Where's the creek? Set up the tent, take down the tent. I got to boil some water. Like I got to boil some food. You know what I mean? You're spending a lot of time just surviving. And so it's like the cost right now, everybody knows about inflation. The cost just to get there is something. So it's like, man, just from a time aspect, giving yourself the most hours in a day to actually hunt, I'm pretty excited.
Right.
Like I feel like I'm going on a vacation.
Oh, absolutely.
Because usually you're gearing up to go to war when you go out west because you got to be extremely in shape and you're just covering miles and it's fun. There's definitely the element of it's like type 2 fun. But this is just I'm excited. It's going to be different type of a hunt. So yeah, man, I haven't been out. But it's like
I know deer have been moving. They've been on their feet, been seeing them in fields, seeing them cross the road, people's front yards, everything like that. Just not in front of my stand yet.
Yeah. I told you and a couple other people this story, but for the listeners, the other morning I pulled into the shop and I'm sitting there talking on the phone, just sitting in the car outside of the shop. And I have a pretty nice 2-year-old 8-point, like walk right down within 20 yards of me in the car. And I'm like, I was on the phone with Devin. I'm like, I got to hang up on you. Hang up on him. I had my bow in the trunk of my Honda Civic and I'm sitting in the front seat. I turn the key off, open the door, pop the trunk, get out, grab my bow, knock an arrow, draw back, walk to the edge of the shop. And this deer kind of sees me out of the corner of his eye and kind of turns and he's quartering away from me. And I had him right. I mean, I could have pulled, I could have done it.
Sure.
I didn't have a broadhead on.
Yep.
So that would have been stupid. But hypothetically speaking, I could have shot a deer the other day, which was kind of cool. This is the first time I got to be drawn back on a buck in a little while. So that was nice. But
fill the tag without actually hunting.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So what else, man? This is your podcast. What else you got going on?
Yeah. So, kind of, getting back to how we met and have stayed in touch and stuff like that. So when you came out with the Mag Pro Plus version, I know I hit you guys up and I was like, hey, is there any way I could, swap it out or anything? And I'm pretty sure you sent it to me. You're like, hey, here you go. I appreciate you. One of the early customers, so we'll just here's a new version. I'm like, oh, cool. And I was running that, loved it, and then switched to the Fire Knock stabilizer, which is a very, very thin. It's like as thick as a pencil, so very, very thin. And your slot wasn't deep enough.
Yep.
And so it didn't come down enough, and hit you guys back up. Hey, it doesn't work on my stabilizer. Like, what should I do? And you're like, hold on. Like a day or two later, you're like, all right, we're sending you a new one. And you just increase the slot size, they're like, and so, in sense that, I've met you guys at the Mobile Hunters Expo that one time, and I think another TAC or something like that, so just always enjoyed staying in touch, following along, we're similar age.
How old are you?
32.
You're 32.
Mm-hmm.
What am I? I'm about to turn 30. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Devin's an engineer. I'm an engineer, type of thing. And I remember at the expos, just chatting about the products and like what you guys are working on and what problems need to be solved or what can be improved, and just, That's just what I like to do. I don't know.
Problem solve.
Right.
We always say creative solutions to complex problems.
Yeah, if it's what it boils down to.
That's exactly what it is. No, but that just to hear you say that, I mean, very humbly, coming from a humble spot, like that's truly how we've been able to build, each block of this business, of this company. Like people like you, like we really value feedback. Some people don't like feedback. Some people see it as like, oh, there's another email we got to like. We take all of that to heart, and like for example, the slot thing, like it's basic,
right?
But my God, does it solve a solution for not just you but other people,
right?
And
there are what 50 different stabilizer companies out there at least, and you're not going to buy all of them.
Soon to be 51.
That
was a huge tease,
right?
But yeah, like it's truly like the feedback has been so important to us. It's how we've said this from the beginning too. Like new product development, people just saying, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" And if there's enough people saying it, and there's a viable market, like what do you have to lose? Like we're small enough as a company, we're nimble, we can do those things, make a product, test a batch, and if it goes well, you got a new product for you. So
yep.
No, that's huge, man. Just hearing you say that, it gives me chills back to you're convinced. I'm still kind of convinced that nobody really knows, like nobody's listening. You know what I mean? Nobody's watching. But it's just really cool to grow, and you have these conversations with people, and it's like they do watch your videos, the setup video that you put out. Like it's really cool.
Yep. Yeah. So, kind of, I think it was a year ago, in August, something like that. My wife convinced me to start a social media page, Instagram page. And I've been, filming my hunts, and I was filming scouting videos for myself, and just like more so mental notes or visual notes, I guess. And just so I can reference them back. She's like, why don't you just put those together and put it out on YouTube and like cut it up, put them on Instagram or something like that. Like, yeah, it's a good idea. Sure. Let's try that. And I'm in by no means a good hunter. Like I've been hunting straight for 4 days, and I finally just saw my first deer. Like, and I'm no problem admitting that I'm very new to this mobile hunting on public land thing. So I just, put myself out there and share my journey, whatever you want to call it, and help new guys or new hunters out. And so the guy, when I shot that buck, the guy in the tree, brand new hunter, found me on Instagram. Hey, he lived 30 minutes away. I'm like,
really?
Come hunt with me. And it's one of my best spots. I'm like, come on, I don't know if I'd do that now, but, come out scout with me. So I've met tons of guys from, just on Instagram. They're like, hey, where are you from? From Fenton.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool. Hunt Metro Detroit. Yeah, let's go scouting together. Sure. So just meeting people.
It's awesome.
Growing the community. And yeah, the, 50 views I get on my YouTube videos, like, don't care. I enjoy doing it.
And well, you got to start somewhere. I mean, I don't view that as that's how things start, It is Barefoot Dave.
Yeah. Yep.
So if somebody wants to follow you listening right now, Barefoot Dave, I would highly suggest you do that.
Barefoot Dave _
at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a Barefoot Dave water skier that has the bastard.
Oh, that's great. Is he like a good water skier?
I have no idea. I just searched it. I'm like, oh, it's a barefoot water skier. That's cool.
That's awesome.
That looks fun. I should try that. So Barefoot Dave _ on Instagram and on YouTube. And I've been actually chatting with Trav about how to kind of take my videos to the next level, a little bit more editing, some B-roll, music, all that good stuff. And man, that's a pain, but it
really is, dude.
Comes out with a good product at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I love helping new hunters and just try to grow this obsession that we all love.
It's important, man. The more that I've learned about just take Colorado, for example, with the issues they're having with the government and their governor, and just all the things that are being potentially at risk of just being eliminated, like
exactly.
cougar hunting and bobcat, all those things that we don't need to get into. But it's just having people like yourself who are just good stewards, love, like they're just passionate about it and can spread the word. Like it's really simple. Like everybody has their own what's the word I'm looking for? Like your network of people.
Mm-hmm.
And you have influence on that network of people. And there might be a handful of people in your network that don't even understand the first thing about hunting.
Right.
Not even a clue. Like, oh, the government actually regulates how many deer you can shoot. Like people don't even understand. So just like you being passionate, that's really where it has to come from. Those types of people always having a good light, always, chiming in when necessary. I just think it's so important just to hear you say that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to see you grow, man. I really do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that, that's one thing that we connect on is the conservation and stewardship, like you said, because you went to that that NRC meeting.
Yeah.
And I followed along on the Facebook page. I read the all the not the results, but the
revised regulations that they're going to go
and
off
all that
this year.
stuff. And I thought the same thing. Like I always assume that the DNR made all these changes. The agency that's in charge of our natural resource made the decisions, and it's like, no, that's not the case. It's an appointed position. The NRC is an appointed position.
Yep.
They could have no qualifications.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've just been spreading that because people need to know and understand that.
Yeah. That's what's really cool about, I think we're starting to get some traction, and
big time. Yeah, we are.
I think next year might look a little different. It might take a handful of years, but it really comes down to like these older people just phasing out.
Yep.
The boomers, right?
Yep.
Like everybody on that panel in Michigan anyway, and I bet you it's the same everywhere else, but they're all old people.
Right.
And I think as times kind of go on, people like you and me are going to have, we're going to take those positions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if Governor Whitmer is going to appoint me to that board or you, but who knows?
Right. My vote's for Jordan Hoover. That guy's he's been doing the podcast circuit. He was on the DMI for the UP, and if you've never heard of him, search him on your podcast, whatever. And he's done a couple episodes with a few different channels, and it sheds some real light. I had a lot of confidence in the DMI this year, and after listening to him, they're negative confidence. Yeah.
It seems like pre-rigged a little.
A ploy.
It's a little rigged.
Smoke and mirrors for
it's
sure.
It's a little rigged.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but I do. If we don't have hope, I don't think you have anything. You got to look at it like that every year.
Yeah.
Be involved. Get involved. Go to any events that you can. NRC, like man, I learned so much just from that one encounter. It's crazy, really.
And there's, Michigan has an incredibly, incredibly strong hunting culture, and there's a lot of, podcasters, YouTubers, that sort of stuff, and they're starting to be aware of the situation, let's say, and spreading that, and the people that will set up or leave their ladder stand year round, haul a bag of corn out. They might not follow along, but the growing, let's say, serious hunters that take bow hunting and rifle hunting very seriously. They put in the work to get on deer, to shoot their bow, to be proficient with their weapon. Whatever it may be. Those are the type of people that will make a good change. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah.
Not to bag on ladder stand guys,
100%
stuff, but
the hunting culture in Michigan is strong. I think I always look at Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and like Minnesota.
Those are the tops. Yeah.
Like we've traveled, quite a bit for shows and things like that. And like those states are just, I don't know what it is, but they're very passionate and the culture runs deep. It runs very deep. Mm-hmm. Not to say it doesn't in other places. Obviously it does down south too. Like Georgia is a really good example. But anyway, like we do. Our culture here it's rooted deep, and we're always going to have hunters. I just hope we always have hunting.
That's a good way to put it. Very good way to put it.
So, yeah, I think about that a lot with a young boy. It's like,
sure. What's he gonna have in 20, 30 years?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hope that I'd love for my boy to be involved in the company at some point, if it's still a thing at that point or not, I don't know. But I mean, I think it'd be super cool to have him grow up and have really good opportunities to hunt deer in Michigan and everywhere else. But it's just it's interesting.
Yeah.
We live in an interesting world.
Yep. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. All right, man. Anything else before we wrap this?
I'm just happy to be here. It's an honor to be working with you guys. You're one of the few companies that I truly support, and I have always recommended your products even well before was ever this whole crew, pro staff, whatever you want to call it, thing was even thought of. So it was just it everything worked out, I think, as it should. You and Devin are great guys. Media Trav now, he's a riot. He's a good guy too. And just reach out if, like you said, the feedback, new ideas, how to change it. I mean, we just thought about a new change 30 minutes ago, with the arm. Yep. Just constant. So if you have an idea, reach out to these guys, shoot them a DM or an email and let them know they might make it happen. Yeah.
I would say the same. Anybody listening, get a hold of Barefoot Dave. He's basically an extension of the company. So, talking to him is like talking to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we really appreciate it. We're super excited to have you in the shop today.
Absolutely.
And just on board and helping us grow the word and spread the word. And everybody out there, it's that time. It's about to get really interesting in the next few weeks here. It's what we all dream of. It's what we're excited about, passionate about. Even if you're not a hunter, this is a beautiful time to be outside. I mean, it's just, the air is different. Everything's changing. That's what's so beautiful about fall in Michigan and in the Midwest for that matter. But just, it's awesome. It's an awesome time to be alive. Want to end you guys with something we've been trying to speak out a little bit more on is hunt videos. So submit your hunt in, okay? If you shoot an animal, if you miss an animal, if you're using the product, we want to see your footage really bad. If you go to the website, there's a giant tab on the top. It says video submission. You click that sucker and you can just upload it really quickly off of your cell phone. We value that more than you know. So
here's a question. Do you want their, raw clip or, an edited clip or, type of thing?
I would say if it's like a 2-minute long video, quickly crop it to like the last, the key 30 to 40 seconds or less. Like, you can upload the whole thing. It's just going to take longer on your end. So it's pretty quick, I think, to crop it. But that's what we're going to look at is like the moment. If obviously, like, we just had one that was sent in where this buck was just like creeping its way in. And it was like the suspense of this 4-minute video is what made it.
4 minutes.
I think it was actually longer, but
I couldn't imagine.
The like I said, the length of it and the suspense is what made that video so cool. Like, obviously send the whole clip, but if it's just a key couple of seconds, no need to do the whole thing. But no, every year we select the top 5 videos that are sent in. So right now for 2024, okay, because it's 2024, we will select the 2024 winners, the top 5 winners, sometime in January or February, kind of after this like hunting season's over. If you shoot something in the January 2025, like, still that would count for this year's submission.
Right.
So it's basically the season, 2024 season. After it's over, we select the winners, and that's like probably one of the funnest things that I get to do.
I'm sure. I submitted all mine. Yep.
Just like 80 some odd videos you get to go through.
That's cool.
We had one yesterday. It was a coyote, like usually coyotes, when you shoot at them with a bow, they like duck and you don't get an opportunity. But this guy, for whatever, he was like, and this thing froze. He drew back and smoked this thing at like 40 yards.
Oh my God. That's
and he got it all on film. It was so sweet.
That's cool.
It was a sweet video. So anyways, long-winded way of saying submit your footage. We love it. Dave McChesney.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thanks for having me.
All right,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Peace.